What's up, man? Welcome back to Supple Savage, where we're on a mission to make men out of boys. I'm your host, Chris Savage, and today we're going to be talking about the 5 stages of manhood that you're going to find yourself embodying. Now, as I go through this, you might think to yourself, like, man, this is pretty obvious. This is pretty simple stuff. And the big reason why I want to go over this today is because that there's a lot of men out there who are doing this shit out of order. They're doing it out of sequence. And I think it's my duty to make sure that it's known what that sequence looks like, how you move through it, what's really required in each stage, and how you can move forward to the next phase of your life. And I'm doing this because I know that there's a lot of men out there who don't have the guidance that really is necessary for men to evolve and to thrive. And I didn't have that guidance when I was going through these developmental stages, and I now well into my years of fatherhood. So I hope to be that guide for you. I hope to help you along this journey. And if it does help you out, please let me know in the comments. Just drop a thanks. Let me know what part helped you, which was the most beneficial or eye-opening part to you. And if you know somebody that could benefit from this and needs to hear some of these things and you think that would be beneficial for them to hear, please share that video with them, like, subscribe, and comment, because all those things do help this channel reach more men just like you who are looking for the next step. So let's go ahead and get on into this. Now, in these 5 stages of manhood, you're going to find yourself starting off in boyhood. From there, you progress or you initiate into manhood. Then you go husband, father, and elder. Now, a really important concept that you need to keep in mind during the rest of this video is that there's always going to be a 3-step process in the evolution of the next title. Now, this from boyhood to manhood is called initiation, which is probably one of the most important transitional phases, but the phases always follow the same 3 patterns. You have your mundane life, the life as you know it, your everyday life. And for some reason you feel like something is missing. That's called the calling. That's the call to adventure. And if should you choose to answer it, you step into the profane space. This is the evolutionary space where a portion of you, your identity, needs to quite literally die and be left behind, so a new portion of you could be grown, discovered, and embodied and be a new living individual. And then you step over the threshold and you go back into your mundane life. But however, that new mundane, that new life that you've created after the profane space is a new standard. It's a new identity. It's a new journey. And you are going to stay there until you feel a calling once again in your life. So the first step in this journey is going to be the foundations of manhood. This is going to be your boy age or your boyhood. Now, this is where you have that sense of innocence and wonder to the world around you, because you're really just experiencing these things for the first time in your life, and you're learning to navigate it. You're learning to understand the boundaries of what you're able to do physically. Learn what the environments around you are going to allow you to do. Learn the social structure, the network of your household, outside of your household, and the laws of nature, such as gravity, as a lot of young boys learn pretty early on in their adventures. But we're also going to be learning how to regulate our emotions in that time and understand that not everything calls for such extreme and deep sensations. So we are feeling happiness and joy so deeply, and sadness so deeply, and pain so intensely. And that is something that we learn how to regulate over time as we experience these things in our life. They're not so detrimental to us. Now this time is really important for boundary setting, understanding that when you don't want something, or I guess it would be like the age-old tale of like, treat people how you want to be treated. So then you have to really decide, okay, well, what are my boundaries? How do I want to be treated? And you create these boundaries for yourself, and you expect people to honor those boundaries and reinforce those boundaries, and then you are given that same thing in return. You learn how to respect other people's boundaries as well. And through observation, you learn from your parents how to be in a functional, healthy relationship, how to effectively communicate, what arguments look like, and what it looks like for them to be resolved. You learn how to treat a woman from your father, and you learn how a woman should be treated from your mother. And the same is in reverse. Like, you should also be learning how a man should be treated from your mother and from your father based off of their actions. So let's talk about initiation. Now, initiation is going to be one of the most important transition times in your life because this is going to set the stage for the rest of your life. And unfortunately, there's a lot of men today that weren't properly initiated and they're still acting like children in a sense into their 30s and 40s. And you know one, I'm sure one probably just popped into your head right now as I said that. And it's very prevalent in today's world, in today's society. So let's talk about some of the aspects that a good initiation is going to invoke. Now, one thing that it's going to bring is a good, clean break from the mother. It's a separation from the mother because during initiation, you're supposed to be creating your own identity, and that is only to be done once you have separated your identity from your mother. Now, secondly, you're brought into a ritual space, and in this ritual space, you're learning from your elders, you're learning stories and guidance and how to get consultation from your elders and learning how to be vulnerable. You get that safe space. What everybody calls safe space today is not actual safe space. What we're talking about is space where you are able to drop your armor and expose yourself and come clean. Hey, this is what I am going through right now. This is what I'm struggling with right now. And your group, your tribe, your collective of men are supposed to listen intently. They're supposed to feel with you, even if just for a moment, and then help you move past that issue through one, reassurance, or two, solutions, which is one thing that we're really good at men is offering solutions. Just ask my wife. She doesn't want to vent to me anymore because I just offer just really good solutions to her problems. But in addition to this, in that initiation, we are earning our place among the men in our group, in our tribe. And the only way we earn our place is by proving or showing that we are not only capable, but willing to persevere through the hard and arduous tasks of life, because they need to know that they're able to rely on you and stand behind you if they need assistance. Now, what's really important to note with that as well is that you have an influx of testosterone. And with that influx of testosterone, you are now getting bombarded with this aggression. And that aggression is going to be the foundation of your manhood and your life, because that is your drive. That is your willpower. That is life-giving in itself. And if you deny that portion of yourself, you are never truly going to be able to have a life-giving and a fulfilling life. So you cannot deny your aggression. You're supposed to learn how to harness it and turn it into a positive and make it life-giving. And that's what the men and the elders are supposed to be doing in your life, is showing you how to harness that aggression. Now, only men can initiate men. So when I was a young boy, around the time of initiation, and typically this could be anywhere between 8 and 12 years old. Now, this was around the time that my parents actually got divorced, and my mother actually pushed my father out of the home and made everything that I did that resembled him. So when I had that influx of testosterone and I had that aggression come out, I was painted as a monster, just like my father, and I never actually got to get initiated. And that's why I'm really this is so dear to my heart, is because while I denied that, I had to find it much later in my life, into my early 20s, when I really went through my initiation. She simply could not initiate me into my adulthood, into my manhood, because she was helping me reject it, because she wanted me to remain her sweet young boy, and that's not what we are supposed to do as we evolve into men. So, post-initiation, manhood. This is, for some people, it's a long period of your life. Some people, it's incredibly short. And by short, I mean that you jump to another phase that maybe you weren't ready for. So after initiation, you're going to be learning yourself. You're going to have to be learning and discovering yourself for the first time in your life, separate from your mother. This is why the separation from your mom and from your parents is so important, because you need to discover how to care and fend for yourself. That's what really makes a good, strong man, is a man that can take care of himself independently. And I'm going to cover this a little bit later, but hang on to that. Now, you need to discover your identity. That means that you need to figure out what makes you happy. What skills do you have that maybe they come a little naturally, and you could learn to develop these skills. And as you develop them, you figure out how to make your money from it, right? And hopefully in an ideal world, if you are making money off of the same thing that brings you happiness and joy, then you are way ahead of the rest of us, and you're extremely lucky, because that is a very rare find. But preferably you are making money off of the things that you truly love and enjoy. And in this portion, you're also solidifying your morals and values. And again, that's going to be important later on, and you're going to see why here in a minute. Now, as you're building and solidifying these characteristics in your life, you're going to start to date, and you really need to be conscious. You need to be aware of when those things really make a serious turn, right? And just for all you men out there, if you're in the dating pool and let's say you follow somebody like Rollo Tomasi, who says that you should be dating multiple women and lying to them and don't let them know about, like, don't do that, man. We want to make sure that your morals and values are based off of honesty. And if you're not into long-term dating, if you're not seriously dating, make that shit known. And if you're dating other people, make that known. You don't want to be leading anybody on and really breaking people's hearts. There's no purpose of doing that. And the more people you do it to, the more people are going to do it to you. It's going to be a vicious circle. You're going to end up getting hurt. So start your morals with solidifying your identity, making yourself so strong and so secure that when who you are, that nobody can break you. But on the flip side, you are also not going to be intentionally breaking other people. But let's say you do start dating and it starts to take a serious turn. This is where you know that you're going to start to progress into that next phase. You're going to be transitioning into the husband role. And make no mistake, when you are dating to find a wife. You are dating to start a family. And this is why having those morals and values set is so important while you're dating, because if you don't have them set, guess what? Your significant other may have theirs set, and you're just going to adopt theirs. But if you are set in your ways, and like I said before, if you're secure and strong in your own personality and identity and morals and values, which I'm not saying that they can't change over time, but if you're secure, you're going to look for somebody that is going to match your morals and values. And if you're looking for that, you are less likely to get stuck with those real tyrants of women who are going to walk all over you, take advantage of you, and ultimately end up deceiving you and hurting you. So, while you're looking for that wife, communication standards are being built in this era. This is going to be part of your transition phase. You are going to need to learn how to effectively communicate with your significant other. You are also going to have to learn how to work as a team. So that means that you are going to have to learn how to be a little bit more compassionate, how to be a little more selfless, where in your manhood and your self-discovery time, that's a very selfish era. This is where you're going to have to learn how to be a little bit more selfless and how to be a little bit more giving to your partner. Now, you're going to have to learn how to be romantic as well. And if that's not in your forte, if that's not something that you learned and you saw from your parents, you're going to have to figure it out. And if you say for a second that, oh man, I'm just not romantic, let me tell you, if you want a long-term relationship, you are going to have to figure out what romance is. And to everybody, it's a little bit different. Figure out what your wife, what your significant other really appreciates, what makes them feel loved and wanted, and you do that thing. And everybody is different, so you have to explore and get to know your woman. Now, this is probably the most important part of finding a wife, is you are not replacing your mother. This is why the separation from initiation from your mother is so damn important, is because a lot of men are so not sufficient in themselves and their identity and their capabilities of taking care of themselves, that when they start to date, they're looking for people to replace their damn mom. And no woman wants to feel like she is replacing your mom. So that is very important to understand that your wife is not a replacement for your mother. Now, this next one I want you to really pay attention to. This is the one that a lot of men are really messing it up. This is the fatherhood stage. Now, a lot of young men are starting to get women pregnant at a young age. Maybe they're 18, 19, 20, 25 years old. Maybe they're still finding themselves. They're not set in their careers. They're not set in their identities. They are even not set in their relationship. They don't know if that woman is going to share the same morals and values that they share, but yet they go and they give into temptation. They want to chase that pleasure for just the moment, and then they have a child. And now they're skipping all of those developmental cues that they're supposed to be hitting that's going to make them a good, effective father. So, as you enter into fatherhood, there's a few things that you need to know. This is now your self-sacrificing age. You are going to have to lead by example. Everything that you do is going to be for the betterment of your family. You better be secure and solid in your morals and values, because now you have to teach those things. You have to embody everything that you believe in and make it so secure in who you are that your children see it and they admire it and they embody those values. You are a protector of that family. You are an initiator if you have young boys. You better be ready to raise young men. You better be ready to have difficult conversations, not only with your children, but with your significant other. You better be ready to show them what a good, healthy relationship looks like. And if you are not with your significant other, if you are not with your baby's mother, then you better figure out how to fucking co-parent. This is what is extremely toxic in today's world, is that there's all this baby mama, baby daddy stigma and so much drama surrounding this, and everybody's fucking forgetting that it's not about them, it's about the children. And I'm a living example of what that looks like, because I didn't get to initiate until I was in my 20s, because my mother divorced my father, pushed him out of the house, and anything that I did that resembled him was deemed toxic. It was deemed bad. It was deemed negative. And I ended up not having a relationship with my father for 10 years. You have to remember, it's not about you anymore. This is the self-sacrificing era of your life. It is about your children. And if you're not in that era yet, if you haven't become a father yet, I want you to really think about this, because you need to think about where you are in this journey right now. You need to think, are my values secured? What are values even? Like, what does that mean? Was I even taught that? You need to figure out what you believe in, and you need to make sure that you are doing everything in your power to make who you are as an individual so fucking powerful, so strong that nobody can shake you. Because that person is what is going to be carried on into the next generation. So go and build it. So after your fatherhood age, you're going to step into the elder age. Now, this is a tough cookie to crack, because nobody wants to admit that they're getting older. And, you think of an elder, you think of, old gray hair, could barely move. But really, as long as your children have started to have children, now you are officially becoming an elder, and your job is to guide and consult your children on how to raise theirs. But if you've done a good enough job as a father in the first place, you won't really need to guide as much, but you're going to be there for the grandchildren and provide that generational knowledge. Be there for them to ask questions. Be there to consult your sons, your daughters, as they are teaching and guiding and educating their children. The worst thing that you want to be and do and have in your life is to have your children having to heal from damage that you've caused them. You don't want to be the reason for trauma. You want to be the reason for growth and development. So I've been a coach for 10 years now. That has made me an elder in the health and fitness industry because I have enough practical application and knowledge of that specific industry. Now, a lot of coaches are young kids nowadays. And I got into training when I was 20 years old. Today, there's plenty of 20, 21, 22-year-olds that are jumping into this industry, and they still have a lot to learn. So I can be and serve as an elder to help teach and guide these young heads as they are growing and evolving in their career. Now, this could be true for many aspects of life. So you just got to look at what do you have so much experience and knowledge in, and how can you serve your community or other people to help them not go through some of the same learning curves and some of the same learning pains that you did as you were progressing through your journey. Now, this is a tough pill to swallow as an elder, but you are now serving as a reminder of our own mortality. You see, we become that wise old man, that man whose life is near the end, and you want to absorb as much knowledge as that individual from them as you can to tell the stories over and over and over again, because they will not be there for very long. And if you've done a good enough job at telling your stories to your children and your grandchildren, then you will forever live on in generations to come. So that's it for today. I appreciate you sticking around with me. Let me know down in the comments what was the most beneficial portion of this. What was the most impactful portion of this video? I'd really love to hear from you. And also, if you have any questions, please feel free to drop them in the comments below. I'll be sure to get back to you. And also make sure you check us out on Instagram and TikTok at Supple Savage, and check out our website supplesavage.com, where you can pick up some awesome apparel like the shirt that I'm wearing here today to really help support the show. I appreciate you guys, love you guys, and I hope you keep growing.